because I mean, it's well, there was 3 months left, right? Or four, however many months. So um, I was like, well, it's just because I have to push the kids in a double stroller and they're always hungry and they're fighting. And oh, well, it's just because my body's not ready yet. I had my kids so close together. And well, I just don't have time in the day when it's light out and, all these excuses, right? And so what I had to do is ask myself, Katie, what are you afraid of? And when it came down to it, I was afraid that I was going to train and then fail. I wasn't going to be able to complete the marathon. And so once I was able to put that into the front of my brain, then it was like, okay, so screw the timeline. I'm just going to push it out and I'm going to chunk it out. So maybe I'm going to run a 5K this year. That was last year. And then I'll run a 10K in the beginning of 2022 and then a half marathon. And maybe by the end of 2022, I'll run that marathon that I want. I'll just change the timeline. I still have that goal, but yes, I'm going to have to run with a double stroller and I'm going to have to run, even though I don't feel it's way harder than it once was. Like I have to just let go of those excuses. And that's really truly what we have to do with our businesses. We've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, of course I would prefer to run in the perfect temperature without my kids, have all the time in the world, but that's not my reality. And so if I'm going to do the goal, if I'm going to reach the goal, I've got to be comfortable with just doing the uncomfortable things. And so that's kind of what I'm here to talk about is we will never grow unless we choose to push past our limits and grow. And that's one of the ways is to let go of our excuses. I'm looking over here because I have all my notes, but I would say there are three like major kind of categories of excuses that we run into in this business. I'm going to go through all three of them. The last one is the one I think is the one you're going to hear a lot from maybe yourself or maybe teammates, but I think we all run into these things. So the first one, and I'm guilty of all of these, and there might be one that I talk about that you might be like, oh, she got me, right? And there might be another one that you're like, that's not really me. But I feel like anybody who's been successful in this business has struggled with these in some way. So the first one is, I don't know enough people. Or along the same lines of, everyone I know is already doing Plexus, is already doing some other network marketing company. My network is too small. Okay, like raise your hand if you've been guilty of saying that. I like just recently was saying that. I don't know if enough people. Okay. So here's the thing though, like you have to be real with yourself. And I'm just shoot it straight kind of person. And so when I tell myself, oh, Katie, your network is too small, you just don't know enough people, I have to get real with myself and say, no, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of some of those people that I haven't reached out to, what they say or what they think, right? But let's just break it down. How many people are you friends with on Facebook? 500, 200, 1,000? I don't know. How many contacts do you have in your phone? How many coworkers or relatives do you have? Like, I'm just kind of going through that Frank's list. Like, think of all the people in your life. And then you have to change that thought about it. I can guarantee you cannot tell me that none of those people have health goals. It's like, that's a lie. We all have health goals. That none of those people have financial goals. And then you can say, okay, yes, some of them have financial goals. Yes, some of them have health goals. And then I almost can guarantee that you can't say, I have talked to them multiple times about our opportunity and our products. Like it's the repetitions, right? I did not sign up the first time my sponsor came and talked to me. And I would assume that probably 50 to 70, 90% of us didn't either. It takes us seeing their conversations. It takes us them posting about, like, it takes us more than one time. And so I can almost guarantee that you can't all say, yep, nobody that I know has health goals or financial goals. And anyone that did, I've already talked to 10 times. Right? So that's where the follow-up comes in and reaching out with unique ways, inviting them to different types of events or different types of opportunities or trying a different sample, all of the different ways that you can connect with people that are already in your network. Okay. So even if it is true, you're like, yes, Katie, I have talked to all the people in my network 15 times. Okay. So what do you do to fix that? You work to grow your network. So there's lots of ways that you can work to do this, but some of the common things are, on social media is, working in groups, but not just like, oh, Plexus can help with that. Plexus can help with that. Like adding value. You will find like-minded people in like-minded groups. That's how my sponsor found her. Whether it's a local moms group or I don't know, knitting group. I don't know whatever it is that you enjoy. There will be other people that enjoy that too. You just have to work to add value in the group, and not just, if you're just constantly Plexus, you're not going to get much from it. But the easiest way I think to grow your network is in person. Maybe a little scary, but go do things. I'm a mom. I have toddlers. We go to the park. We go to a gymnastics class. We go to a children's museum, and I talk to people. Okay, I'm not always like plastered in Plexus. I don't always have my pink drink, but I just talk to people. Oh, we have like-aged kids. Like, let's follow each other on Facebook. Let's get together another time. Like, I'm a social person, and I wasn't always like this. I'm definitely like an extrovert and things like that, but I never have been like where I would strike up a conversation with someone randomly. But I have learned to get over that fear and just do it, because I've made some really great connections that way. Go to a happy hour if you don't have kids and that's your thing. Go to a salsa dancing class. Like, go do something that you like to do, and you will find other people that like to do it too. And that helps you grow your network. I don't remember who said it, but I believe it was a Diamond. She said, it's not the size of your network, it's the size of your dreams. And I'm just like, that gives me chills, because it's like, when you have that strong goal and that strong vision and that strong why, it doesn't matter if you have a couple hundred people in your network, or a couple thousand, you're going to make your dreams come true, because you have a strong dream and vision. And so I would say that is a very common excuse. I don't know anybody. And I like to point out, like, when people come to me, I like to point out, like, okay, like, I'm straight and blunt like that. I'm like, how many friends do you have on Facebook, girl? Like, straight up. And they're like, I don't know, a couple hundred. I'm like, okay, do you think they have health goals and financial goals? Yeah, probably. Okay, let's start there. Like, we just break it down, and I make it so simple. So the second thing that I think we commonly get as a response, or we might feel, and I can tell you I felt this, I hit gold very quickly, and then I sat there for many months. And I kept saying, and you might have said this before, I wish I had a business builder. I want a runner. I wish I could get somebody to do this with me. And also along with that, like, I'm doing all the things. I'm doing what they're telling me to do, and this just doesn't work for me. This isn't working. I'm doing the things and it's not working. Okay, anybody guilty of that? 1000% I was. I am still sometimes. So first we have to talk about, like, what are actually the things that you are doing, or that you think you're doing. And then, are you actually doing those things? Those are two of my favorite words: intentionally and consistently. So the things: hosting events, inviting people to events, new reach outs to people, following up with people, again, like this repetition thing, posts that add value to your audience, not just Plexus posts. Figure out how you can add value. I'm not a huge fan of like one thing, but how can you add value to your people? What can you give them? What are you passionate about? And then you yourself doing personal development, podcasts, reading a book, training videos, all of that stuff. And then taking care of your customers. Like, we pride ourselves on doing this thing the right way. And one of those ways is, like, I don't care about the first sign up. I care about your second, third, fourth, fifth, 8th, 10th, 30th month of ordering. And I'm going to provide amazing customer care so that you get all the extra things all along the way when you continue ordering. That's residual income, right? And so, are you doing all of those things, not just once a week or once a month, but consistently? And even more so, are you being intentional with it? I talk about this all the time with my friends about, like, we can't just be checking the box. Like, yes, check, I did a reach out. It was a copy and paste reach out. I didn't really even know the person at all, but like, check, I checked the box. You have to be intentional about the things that you are doing. You have to be sitting down and you have to be engaging a little bit before you do your post. Like, you've got to be intentional with how you're working your business. But you don't have to do all these things every single day. You can figure out what works for you and break the things up, but you just have to make sure that you're doing the things. And so an example is a girl that I signed up, I think in January. I had talked to her more than once about Plexus, and she had said no and whatever. I just kind of had her on my 90-day follow-up cycle, check it back in with her. And then she started really engaging with some of my Instagram posts about like non-toxic swaps and snacks and things like that. And so I was like, oh, she's seeing my stuff, right? So I decided to reach out to her again, and she sent me back to my probably, gosh, 8th or 9th follow-up. She sent me back a screenshot that she had taken of one of my Plexus stories where I had talked about like people's testimonies. It had been like the week before, and she had screenshot it from my stories. And she's like, I've been meaning to check back in with you, like to, get ordered, right? But did she come to me? No. And she probably never would have. I can't just put up a post and hope that all my people come to me. So that was just the perfect example of, even though she took the time to take a screenshot, but she probably would have never reached out to me if I had not followed back up with her, if I hadn't had her on that list. It is so crucial. And it's follow-up, I feel like, is a thing that gets skipped over because people don't see that you didn't follow up. People don't see that you didn't reach out. They see if you didn't do a post, maybe they're like, she hasn't been around, right? But they don't see the behind the scene things. So these are the things that that move the needle in our business. These are like the income producing activities that we have to do intentionally and consistently. And so if you can say, yes, Katie, I have been doing those things intentionally and consistently, then you have to think about, okay, what type of people am I like looking to attract or to work with? And you have to kind of set that in your mind, right? Because once you kind of figure that out, I feel like you're able to talk to people more like in your posting and just be more authentic in your reaching out, because you're really looking at like, you're complimenting someone and you're saying like, these are all the reasons why you would be amazing at this thing that I'm doing. Like, can I just share more about it? And people are more inclined to be like, wow, you noticed that about me? Yeah, I think you can. In this business, we should always be thinking about our goal. And maybe it's a rank goal, maybe, but oftentimes it's not. Maybe it's growing your team by a certain amount of points. This quarter, maybe it's getting a re-rank and getting that extra cash. Maybe it's getting that double rank. Whatever it might be, we should be working towards that. And I'm sure you're going to know what I'm about to say, like consistently showing up and doing the things that help us move that needle to that next thing, rank, ad goal, point goal, whatever it might be. If you were around last month, a lot of people were really working hard to add 6 to get that tablet. Okay, if you can work that hard this month, even though there might not be a tablet on the table, then you're going to be that much closer to your next rank if you can add 6 and work that hard this month and help the people on your team add 6 and work that hard as you might have last month. There's something about this business that really, I think this is a part that holds a lot of us back in terms of I'm doing all the things, is there's like this weird light, sorry, is if you think of this as a real job, which it is for a lot of people, you wouldn't show up to your real job 15 or 20 minutes late and be like successful still, or even maybe still have that job. We're super lucky. I'm literally in shorts and a sports bra right now. And that's like an amazing thing that I love. I show up with my hair a mess and I love that because I get to be that's me. I don't have to dress up and get all done up and rush my kids out the door. But there's a certain amount of like professionalism that we have to carry through. And one of the things is like, you would not show up to your regular job late and expect to still have that job. You would not show up to your regular job and do maybe one thing a day, maybe just like half my work today, clock in and clock out. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't expect to still have your job. And I think sometimes we get so stuck in that, like, we do have a lot of time freedom. That's a cool thing. We love that. We love the flexibility, but we still have to like be true to ourselves and be consistent and intentional with our own time and with our own selves. And that's really hard to do. It's really hard to tell yourself, I got to do the things. I'm going to get up and do the things today. But this will never be replacing your real job if you don't do those things. Network marketing is so different in terms of we work, and then it's like, yay, I just got like my first ambassador or my first VIP, and I just got a $20 business building bonus. Like, yes, I'm so excited, right? And I will never forget this moment. I was walking on the beach with my kids and my husband one morning, and I got like an email that said like, you have a new ambassador, you have a new ambassador level 2. And I was like, I didn't know about it. I was like, it wasn't someone I signed up or someone I had helped sign up. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing works. Like, people are doing it. And I didn't, it's working. Like, what is happening? I was like so fired up. And it started to be, I got them more, right? So there was a time when I put it out work, I put out work, and then I was like, ding, I got a little teeny tiny paycheck. And then I worked. And then like, ooh, I ranked up to like silver. I got like, that was a fat paycheck to me. And then it was like, I worked. Yay, senior silver, gold, Now the goal, right? It's flip-flopped. Like, I come to my phone and it's like new. And I'm like, I worked here for like 30 minutes and look at my team going off, right? And so that's like, this might be how you feel right now. I'm working and just getting a little bit of money. And it feels like I'm working way harder than the money's coming in, right? But the consistent and intentional work, it pays off, because obviously the goal is to work. You're still going to continue working, but it's to work and then to be paid, because you have all these people around you working and building with you. Like, that gives me chills. That's the goal. Like, that's the dream, is to exactly, the snowball effect is to like do the things, train the people, get the systems in place, and then you still are doing the things the same amount of time, but you have all of these people doing it too. Like, that's how you know you've made it in network marketing. And that is so cool. Big secret, that's never going to happen if you don't show up every day. That's never going to happen. It just won't. Okay. Again, I don't know. I think it was Christina Williams. She's like one of my faves, but she says this business works for people who work this business. Like, mic drop. You want to work this business? It will work for you. That's it. Simple. I'm all fired up. Okay. The last excuse that I think we all give ourselves and we hear the most is time. I don't have time for this. There's no way I could put another thing on my plate. My kids have this and this and this, and I have this and this and this, right? Time. Raise your hand if you've ever said, well, when summer comes, I'm a teacher. So like, oh, when summer comes and I'm not teaching, I'll have more time, so I'll do this. Or maybe it's the opposite. When winter comes and my kids are in school all day long, I'll have more time to do this. Or we'll be playing inside more, so I'll have more time to do this. Like, I could come up with a reason or excuse why time doesn't work for any time, anytime, all day, anytime, any season, wherever you live, right? But here's the thing. Unless you like fly across the country in one day, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. And it really, truly is about asking yourself, again, what am I afraid of? Am I afraid that I swap some things and I fail? Probably. Am I afraid that I ask for my family to trust me and say, Daddy's going to do bedtime a couple nights a week so I can go do my things, and then I fail? Probably. But is it worth it if you don't fail? Absolutely. And so, time is such a cliche thing. Like, you'll never find enough time. We don't, you have to make time. And that is so true. But it's like, but how do we do that? Like, I am still teaching, not in a classroom, but I'm still teaching. So I have a full-time job and an Emerald team and 2 kids at home with me. My husband that just got promoted and is gone all the time, right? Like, it's a mess. Like, but I make time, and that's what we all have to. We all, like, none of our days are like harder than anyone else's day. Like, we all have 24 hours and we all fill those time Like we all have to sleep, we all have to do the things, right? And so you have to get like you have to get creative. You have to get creative. One way that you can get creative, and I know that a lot of people talk about this, but like I people look at their phones. I believe the statistic is over 100 times a day. I always get sick to my stomach when my little like thing comes in on Sundays about my screen time, and I'm like, oh, that's wrong. I was not on my phone that much, but I probably was. Like, you look at your phone, we look at our phone so much. If you, which many of you probably do, work at, you know, a full-time 9 to 5 job, when you go to the bathroom, do you not take your phone in there with you? Like, if you're allowed to, you do. When you go to get a drink out of your locker, do you not look at your phone? Definitely do, right? When you're walking up, I mean, when I'm walking upstairs, pull my phone out of my back pocket and I'm like, oh, I can get a message in. If you have a commute to work, voice messages are your best friend. Like, it can be done if you make the time to do it. Like, it's simple. Some of the other ways that you can like make time is by freeing yourself up. So delegating things in your home. If you have older kids, it's like, hey, after I cook dinner, you do the dishes. Like, I'm doing my thing, I'm gonna go, you do the dishes. Hiring things out. And I know that like sounds like it could be, you know, you're like, I'm only gold. And yeah, like I get it. But if the thing that you hate the most is folding your laundry, hire a high school girl to come do it once a week. That will like save you that hour, however long it takes to do your laundry, fold it and put it away. And you can delegate yourself to something that you are passionate about. We get to do this business. We get to choose how we spend our time. Yes, there are definitely non-negotiables. Like, I'm with my kids. I have to be with my kids. I can't just say I'm like, oh, I'm out of here. I have calls with my students that I have. Like, those are like, they're not even priorities. They're like non-negotiables. We all have those things. I always cook dinner. So like I have to feed my family, right? We have to do these things. But then we get to choose how we fill the rest of our time. One of the really easy ways, which is really stinking hard, but can be a really beneficial way to work your business, is to wake up before your household does. It's really hard. But like when we were in Emerald, the month February, March, and April of last year, those 90 days, we had a 5 a.m. call 4 days a week. There was a couple of us, we came, we worked, we did the things, right? Because that's the only time we could get quiet time. Stay up late. After your family goes to sleep, stay up late. This is all like, family is one of my like core values. So it's hard. And this is where you have to get your stakeholders on board. Like, you've got to, especially if you have older kids, you got to sit down with them and share your vision and your why with your family, not just your husband or your partner, your entire family. My kids are 2 and 3, so I didn't have to sit them down, but I definitely had those conversations with my husband. Like, here's the thing, we're going to be diamond. And when we're diamond, like, you're not going to have to work either if you don't want to. And he's like, I'm here for it. Let's go, you know? And so, and I shared why, like what we're going to do with that when we get there. So like, he's connected and he's here for it. You've got to do that. Like, you have to get everyone on board and then make those sacrifices. Waking up earlier, staying up later, grabbing a babysitter, you know, even like I said, summer's coming, a high school girl, because maybe you're still there. You're just locked yourself in the bedroom so you can go bust out some work. I'm a really big like nap time hustler, because most of the time my kids nap at the same time still. And I can get like 30 to 45 minutes of uninterrupted work in. And that works most days. One of my level ones, she works straight up in like 15-minute increments all throughout her day. She does work full-time as a teacher in the classroom. So she like sends follow-ups while she's driving, voice messaging. She has like in between groups, she'll do another chunk of things. So you've got to figure out, how do I make this work? And when you feel like you can't, I don't have time, I can't, there's no way I can do this, you've got to go back to that question. What am I afraid of? Like, am I afraid that I give something up and I don't succeed? Because that's likely what the thing is. But what are you afraid of? So those are like the 3 biggest things that we will run into. Yes, we will run into all kinds of other things in our businesses. But a lot of times, especially as a leader, you can start asking your people, like, are you afraid of something? Are you afraid that you don't have enough time? You can almost narrow it down to one of these three areas. Are you afraid you just don't know enough people? Are you afraid you don't have enough time? Do you feel like you're kind of doing the things and it's not working, and you can kind of dive into it with them? I think the like most important thing, and I've probably said these words now 10 times each, is whatever you are doing, you have to continuously do it. You have to be consistent. You have to show up intentionally. You cannot go through and with your business just checking the boxes and being halfway in and halfway out. You've got to commit, you've got to be intentional, and you've got to show up and be consistent. Like that's literally it. That's how you grow your business. Yeah, that's it. So I don't know if you want to open it up if anyone has questions or what, but that's all I got for you.
Yeah. Does anybody have questions? So one thing I really love, and I feel like this with a lot of our speakers, is how much you talk about consistency. Like that, there is nothing special about, like there's nothing special about, I mean, all of us are special, but there's nothing special about the successful people in Plexus. Like they are consistent and they just do what they need to do. I think that's so good.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about Plexus too, especially like when you go to events and stuff and you see people that like, we all come from like so many different walks of life, we had different jobs, or we still do, we have different families, like dynamics. Some people have a million kids, some people have no kids, and yet the only like common thing is that we found something, we're passionate about it, and we consistently do it.
So what would you say, Katie, to the people who've been around and who are very consistent and very intentional? They're always growing, they're always reaching out, they're linked up with other people, they're running, but maybe they've been at that same place for a year. What would you encourage them with?
I'm happy you asked that, because that was me. That I was just talking to my power partner about this last month, and I was like, it was that exactly. And she highly encouraged me, and I would highly encourage you to do this. She highly encouraged me to get down to what my core values are. And I'm a very red personality, and I can honestly tell you that has been put in front of me, the core values list, many times since I started almost 3 years ago. And I kind of skim it and I'm like, oh yeah, achievement, leadership, I've never sat down and actually taken time. And so, because I kept giving the excuse of, I want people to run with me. I need some more people that just see the vision, right? And so what I did was I went through the list. There was like 50 or 60 of them, and I wrote down any of them that like seemed like they were me. I ended up with like 10. And then I wrote them down like big on a piece of paper, and then I had them around my house. And every time I walked by, I would like look at them again and like kind of analyze, cross one out. I got down to 3. And then I asked the 3 most important in my life, people in my life, my mom, my husband, and my best friend. I gave them the list of 10 without the 3 that I had picked. And we all came up with the top 2, same top 2. My mom and my husband came with all the same top 3. And then my best friend had a slightly different one. But that activity, I think, has changed my business, because it has made me realize what is truly important to me. And therefore, my posts and how I'm adding value to people, I want people that also really care about their family and how this can work for their family. I also want people that are leaders and care about leadership. That's my thing, And so doing that activity, I would say, has really started to move the needle for me and unstuck me. I hate that word, stuck, but it really has. I feel like it has really changed. So I would highly recommend looking back, if you've never done, like looking at your core values, and the whole exercise, the whole week-long thing just had me thinking so much about like, yeah, like I'm doing this for my family. Like that's my number one core value. And sometimes I can get away from that, and it brought me right back to, this is why I'm doing it. So I would do that exercise.
That's so good. I've shared that graphic with a few of you, but I'll share it again so that way you guys can look over and do that exercise, because that is very true. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
Kylie asked, how important are going to events, Katie? What would you say about events?
Oh my gosh, so important. I went gold specifically to go to a gold retreat that Jordan was putting on, and my sponsor didn't go, and my sponsor's sponsor didn't go. And I didn't know anybody, but I went, and that was when like my vision was caught on fire. I had never been to a Plexus event because of COVID. And so my first event was Emerald Extravaganza. And like, of course, that like blew it out of the water. This leaders retreat that just happened was my first like other Plexus event. And it's just unreal. My favorite things, my husband always asks me when I come home, like, well, how was it? What's your favorite thing? It's so silly. My favorite things are like the late night coffee shop conversation that you might have with someone, or couple people are bunked up in a room, and just the conversations that you have that you can't replicate it no matter what you do on a Zoom or anything. The like sense of community and the conversations that you have with people are unlike anything else. So they're so important. They're so important.
Totally agree. I too, Leaders Retreat, we earned Emerald Extravaganza, but we couldn't go, but we earned, or for Leaders Retreat, that was my first. And I agree. I think some of the conversations I had on the side with people were like so good, and just getting to know even my team a little bit better, because we don't all live close, but yeah, I agree. Totally.
So true.
Does anybody else have any questions? Oh,
I saw Power Partners.
Power Partners. Yeah.
So it can be kind of hard to find like your people, your person. And we come from, obviously you're on Emily's team, like Emily and Joanna and Jordan have like the creme de la creme. Like everyone wants to have what they have, right? And it's amazing. And I went through, so I think it's important to find someone that you can like sit down and work with. So I have like met some of the most amazing people that I'm on like a totally different time zone with. And it's really hard. Like we can't jump on the phone ever. And so it's really hard. So yes, I'm a huge, like once you find your person, you will know. And it's okay to say like, hey, this isn't, let's partner up and let's try that. Like, and this didn't really work out for me, and like move on to the next, not move, you know what I mean? Like everybody needs to find their people. I think it's super important, super duper important, that the only person you work with is not your upline or your downline. I think it's really important to have someone on the side. And it's so valuable when you have someone like on the side, because you sometimes don't have to do all the work, right? Like you're like, let's do this challenge together. Okay, you take on graphics, I'll take on the post. You take on, message examples, I'll take on promoting slides. Like it's divide and conquer, right? And so Power Partners are for sure ideal. Kylie, you said someone with the same rank and speed you're heading towards. Yeah, I think not necessarily always like the same rank, similar ranks, but definitely like the same work ethic and speed. I mean, like if you're someone who's Ruby and, maybe you're senior Ruby or close, like I think you definitely have to have like very similar work ethics and like, I want to go quick, or I'm down to just go slow. That's kind of the most important part. And someone that you just connect with, like my Power Partner, it's like, oh, I have cramps today, or like whatever, like just someone they're just your people.
Okay, if there's no other questions, thanks, Katie, for giving up your
Of
time
course.
and pushing your family
Yes.
over.
Oh, they're happy. Thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So good, Katie. Thank you. Thank you, Lacey, for putting that together. They're always so valuable. I love these. And I think exactly what you said, Lace, like the commonality, the main thing that you get from every single call is you have to be consistent. I was talking, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to transition, but I was talking with a family member today. She is on my husband's side, older woman, and she was telling me that she and her husband, who are, very unhealthy, she was talking to me about them and how they tried Plexus in the past and they were on it for 3 weeks and it just didn't really work for them. And I just was like, oh no, okay, let's address this, because that's 3 weeks on the products. Like we all know that it takes time, right? Same thing here with our business, and not just with our Plexus business, with anything, like with your relationship with the Lord, with your friendships, with learning how to be a parent, with with starting up whatever, like John Maxwell with his books, like he said, for his first 10 years, or 7 years or something, he wrote like 10 books and they were all really bad. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to have that mindset that it's not going to happen very quick. If it's easy and if it's really fast, there's some red flags there. That's something I really, really appreciate about this business, is that it stretches you. If you allow it, it stretches you, and you learn to love the journey. As silly and cheesy as that might sound, like, you learn to really love the journey and know it's not about, I have to hit Ruby, I have to hit Emerald. It's about what is happening to you, who you are as a woman, as a man, who you are helping all around you. It's a part of that that is so beautiful, that takes time. So don't rush that. But remember that consistency, so important, intentionality and consistency. Lace, thank you for coordinating this. If you are on the accountability group, stick on here. If you are not in accountability and you are wanting to have some just friendship, some accountability to help you with your business, come and join us next quarter. We're going to go through the summer, which summer is hard. It's hard to stay accountable with your business. And so this is going to be a tool that's going to help you to not drop off. So we're going to start May 2nd, right after our May 2nd team call. And then we will have our first official, like, big event meeting call on that following Monday night. We'll meet for 3 months, and we'll meet every single Monday night. So plan to do that. Plan to join us. Okay, if you are on accountability now, you guys stay on. If not, thank you guys for being here.